Well, hello. I am so glad that you are with me today. I realized a little bit ago that in my series that I've been doing over the past couple of years on Listen, Feel, Do, and Speak, that I've been a little light on the speak. And so in the next few posts, I want to give you just some short videos so you can hear my voice and see me, and we can be friends. You can feel like you know me better, but also just give you some tips about speaking up. Several weeks ago, I found myself crying, talking to my husband, and I said, I knew I was going to hate this journey. And in that moment, I did hate the journey that I've been on just a little bit because things had gotten really, really hard. For years in ministry and writing about breaking up with my own perfectionism so that God could do a perfecting work in me, I was writing and speaking from kind of 10 steps ahead, things that God had been teaching me and working in me for a long, long time. But when I stepped in this space that God was calling me to gather a community of tender hearts and strong voices, I knew it was going to be hard because I knew that I was going to fail a lot. And because now I'm not writing and speaking from 10 steps ahead, I'm writing and speaking from a half a step ahead. And so the margin for error is much, much greater. So I want to tell you right off the bat that these lessons that I'm sharing with you are sort of painful lessons because they have really come out of very recent failures. And I'll tell you about some of those coming up. But I wanted to share with you what I'm learning and be really transparent about the failures, but also some of the important steps that I'm taking so that I don't make those same mistakes again, so that you too can strengthen your tender heart and your strong voice in healthy ways for whatever God is calling you to speak out about, because I have a thing. And I bet you do too. And if you do, I want to cheer you on. So share with me about it in the comments. Today, I want to talk about preparation for speaking up. Some of you know and even followed me into this 30 days toward love and unity that I did during the summer following the deaths of Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, those tragic deaths that made our nation come face to face with some of the race problems that we still have, that we've never solved. So I felt called to do a 30-day session, a private group in Facebook, and I'll put the link down below if you're interested. It's not active anymore, but you can go take a look if you'd like to. And I dove into it and I thought I was prepared. And in some ways I really was. When God called me so clearly, it was one of those experiences that was not audible, but it was close. It was so clear that God was calling me to help women still be in the conversation in 30 days and to learn along the way. And when I said, but I'm not ready, he said very clearly to me, yes, you are. You have been listening. You've been doing Bible studies. You've been reading books. You've been taking classes about race equity and inequity in our country. You've been feeling, my norm, I gotta confess to you, is I don't like messy. I don't like painful stuff. I'm kind of suffering averse. I think most of us are, but I tend to really run away from it. I ghost from people who cause it in my life. And God has been saying, no, don't run away. Don't hide. Don't go back to your comfort bubble that you have created. I want you to lean into the pain and suffering that other people are feeling and become part of that community. And I had been doing that. So I've been listening and feeling. I had been doing, Barry and I have been part of a supper club for almost a couple years. That we got together and had book discussions around race equity, a diverse group. It was really wonderful and challenging. I had gone with my friend Tiffany, who took me to volunteer for MLK Day for a couple years in a row. So I had been doing all of those things, and those were preparation. But I think what I didn't understand as I began to speak out more, not so much in this 30 days group, it was a kind of a safe place. I created a safe place for others, and in return, they respected that as well. But sometimes when I post on Facebook, I wasn't quite prepared for all the pushback that would come. And I shouldn't have been surprised because we have such a divided and a noisy world right now. But I wasn't quite prepared for that. So I want to give you a couple things that I have been working on internally in myself. And then next week, I'm going to talk about some boundaries that I'm creating too for myself and for the sake of other people. But some of the things that I have been doing to build emotional resilience. Can you say, I don't think that anybody would call me a snowflake. That's such a nasty term, isn't it? But I will say that I am tenderhearted by nature, and that I really, really don't like people saying bad things about me that I don't like. I don't really like pushback in any way, shape, or form. Some people are geared up for that. They love the battle. They love the debate. That is not me. And so I am realizing that one of the things that God is doing in me in speaking up is that He is calling me to build emotional resilience, that I'm able to bounce back, that I don't stay in these bad places for so long. It was so funny. I think I might have shared with you, but one woman in my 30-day group said, I just admire you so much. You just give the calmest responses. And what she didn't know is that I had raged and carried on for like hours in my household before I could get myself together and actually create that calm, measured response. I don't want to have to spend that kind of emotional time and energy and expend myself in that wasteful way anymore. I need emotional resilience, and maybe you do too, where we can just bounce back. So here's some things that I am doing that I'll share with you to build emotional resilience. The first thing is that I am pre-deciding not to be offended or not to take things personally. We have to decide before we ever speak out, before we put that thing into a room, in conversation, or especially on social media, that we will not be offended, that we will not take things personally, that we will process things out here instead of all up in here. So we have to pre-decide. Number two, I am reminding myself that it is God who equips me and strengthens me, and so I can do hard things. I think by nature, we human beings like to avoid hard things. I think Americans particularly hate to do hard things. We like the easy, comfortable life. And when God calls us into a mission that I'll talk some more about next time, then He is calling us into a place possibly and probably of hard things, but He strengthens us and equips us to do that. So we should not be afraid to step into it. Number three, and I added this after I did my notes, I am learning that I'm infusing my responses with the fruits of the Spirit, that I want love in my responses, kindness in my responses, patience in my responses, all that list that we find in scriptures of the fruit of the Spirit. That's probably, you know what, I just had an idea. You can do it with me. I need to print that out, and before I respond, measure my response that I have typed out before I hit send against those fruits of the Spirit. Are those fruits of the Spirit infusing my response? And then the last one is taking, like all my INGs, taking breaks for laughter and joy. You know, we cannot stay in these intense conversations and these battles to some degree all the time. We have to take breaks for ourselves to laugh and be joyful. And so today here at the end, I'm going to keep these short. I'm going to try to keep them even shorter than this one. that I want to invite you that here in the blog space, what I'm trying to do is to equip you to really shore up your tender heart and strengthen your strong voice. But the place that I kind of speak into the places like racial equity that God has put on my heart is on my Facebook page. So if you would like to join me there, or if you would like to join the 30-day Facebook group, I'm going to put the links down below and you can join me there, and I would just love it. And knowing that you're there will hold me accountable to the things that I just shared. So join me. I would love it. I'll see you over there.